Wow, the spooky Halloween audio problems have returned, this time to mess with Ash's audio. She has been cursed to sound terrible for the entire episode. Ooh.
I mean, do you guys want to know its Rotten Tomato score?
No!
Welcome to another episode of Let's Rewatch, the show where we watch movies we loved in our youth and see if they're actually any good. I'm Nick.
I'm Bret.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Ash.
And Sam has a problem. She can't let go of Halloween.
Guys, let's make it last forever because we all have to admit this is the best holiday.
It is.
Also, I can forward Ash the picture of me and Cherub from last year because our costume was fucking on point.
What was it?
I had 3 costumes last year because last year was the best Halloween ever because I got to spend it with Ash.
Didn't you try to do Princess Bride with Cherub?
No, that was one of the ideas. What we ended up doing was Grease. And
Oh, yeah.
So you
Cherub,
just greased up the dog?
no, Cherub was Sandy.
Just a big,
And she had a
greasy
very
dog.
beautiful poodle skirt and a blonde wig, which she wore like a fucking pro. And I dressed up like Danny Zuko, and everyone at my work thought I was a guy, and they were asking who the new guy was in production. And it was me.
no.
Oh, wow.
It was great. So
I have no idea. I don't know any of those names you just said.
you don't you
What?
what?
You've never seen Grease?
You
Never
don't even
seen
know what
Grease.
the word is?
You've never seen
Well,
Grease?
I've heard of Grease.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess we should do
Yeah.
Grease then,
But I don't
if
think it
you've
will
never
hold
seen
up.
it.
All right,
It's
so
pretty
I guess this
rapey.
week we're watching Grease.
No. Halloween's not over yet. I'm ready to
That-
keep it going, guys.
That was pretty scary, right, Sam?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. My heart fluttered there with the thought of us not doing this movie.
So
Well, I like how we put it on the poll, and Sam's just like, nah, fuck that, we're doing it
Vetoed the
anyway,
poll.
even though it didn't win.
so
You guys
what
all
are
agreed.
we watching, Sam?
Sleepy Hollow, Sleepy Hollow, Sleepy Hollow.
You
I'm
know,
so
if you
ready.
say it 3 times, it will appear.
Yeah, it
Christopher
will.
Walken will appear with a pumpkin on
I
his head.
forgot Christopher
Spoilers.
Walken was in this.
Oh,
Yes.
come on. How could you forget? It's the
Because
best.
he doesn't
Yeah.
I mean,
have
we
a
all-
head.
We already know it's a good film because
Yeah.
Christopher Walken is in it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe also boobs?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Of
can't
course
remember.
there's boobs. I mean,
That is kind of a weird choice. Like, why would you cast a recognizable actor as the character without a head?
Yeah.
why
You're just kind
not?
of coming off the rails there, Tim Burton.
I don't know. I buy
can't
it.
really
They
get
did it
anybody.
they did it in Frank as well
Yeah,
with fish something.
Wait, what?
Fassbender.
What? Fassbender.
Fish bender.
Michael
Ultimate type
Fishbender.
of bending.
He's actually the last Fishbender. So yeah, this is Sleepy Hollow from 1999, directed by our old pal Tim Burton, who we saw
99?
fairly recently when we watched Beetlejuice, which was
Yo,
not,
guys.
but maybe should have been Halloween times.
Nah. I feel like Beetlejuice is an everyday time.
So yeah, we've only seen one other Tim Burton movie in this podcast, but he's got a lot of stuff that I think we're fans of. We've talked about watching Pee-wee, but we never quite got around to that.
He did that? I didn't realize that.
That was his first full-length movie. He's done a lot of shorts and,
Well,
visual effects
really?
and artwork.
like, are you not counting Nightmare Before Christmas? Or was that before
He
that?
was technically a producer on that.
Yeah, you
You're
don't
not doing
count
Nightmare
that,
Before Christmas.
but when I'm pretty sure Nightmare was quite a bit later than that.
It's like
We have to look it up now.
94, 95?
I thought Nightmare was like one of... Oh, I guess...
Misconceptions.
Well,
Are we all looking up at the same time? So
I'm
Nightmare
not
Before Christmas
trying
was
to.
93.
Oh.
yeah, so it was one of his first... But I guess...
Well, that would have been between Batman Returns and Ed Wood. So it was quite a ways, later. It was after Pee-wee and Beetlejuice and both Batmans and after Scissorhands. So yeah, this is Sleepy Hollow, based on The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, also of Rip Van Winkle fame. one of the original American classic stories. Classic Halloween time story that Tim Burton put his, I wouldn't say modern spin on because it's not set in modern times, but he did his Tim Burton-y thing to it.
Took a ghost story and made it fucking weird.
Made it, I think, quite a bit
feel like
longer.
Yeah.
I feel like this is generally pretty normal for a Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that weird.
Oh, no, it's definitely on
Really?
the Tim Burton reservation.
Totally.
Like, there's this...
Yeah, but it's not like the weirdest thing.
No,
ever
it's
did.
not like the Mad Hatter movie or whatever that was. Alice
Yeah.
in Wonderland with like crazy heads and
It's like when you go to Taco Bell and they've got like 20 different things, but they're all made of the same basic ingredients. You know, you've got Johnny Depp and you've got like not quite scary, but spooky Halloween-y.
So this
Like-
one is like the bean and cheese burrito of Tim Burton.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
like
and
Alice
it's-
in Wonderland would be like the Mexican pizza or like the what's the one that's like the tostada wrapped inside a burrito?
The
Crunch Wrap.
Crunch wrap. Yeah. I love this analogy. This is a good analogy.
But when you look at the menu, you see Sleepy Hollow and Sweeney Todd right next to each other, and you have a really hard time figuring out what the difference is between them.
Fair. Okay.
Because they have like the same ingredients. It's like, oh, one has sour cream. Okay.
It's like a burrito and then a chimichanga. One has more flair.
Sweeney Todd is like the burrito of Sleepy Hollow dropped in the dirt.
Sam, are you hungry?
Really hungry, guys. I promise I'm not stoned.
So I guess the other good reason to be doing this movie is the other huge Johnny Depp movie that we're all excited about coming out in just a few short weeks.
Wait, what?
There's a movie with a giant Johnny Depp in it. It's a huge
Yep.
Johnny Depp movie.
Is it the Harry Potter one?
There you go. The Grindelwald. I can tell
I'm
everybody's super
surprised.
thrilled about Grindelwald.
I
didn't.
really want to be, but they really fucked it up
Yeah.
pretty hardcore.
What's the guy's name who was playing the guy that Johnny Depp was pretending to be? He was a way better bad guy than Johnny Depp.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Now it's
Colin
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 Farrell.
Earth.
Farrell.
Yeah.
Earth, Farrell.
No,
they
not
different?
Firth Farrell. This is the series where they're not locked to only British actors, so they can have people like Colin Farrell's Irish.
Well,
He
they're
might
not
have
locked to
snuck
British
into
actors
Harry
'cause
Potter.
It takes place in New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want it, like, I'm so torn because I want to see another Harry Potter movie, but I don't know if I can get on board with the anti-LGBT and Johnny Depp.
Wait, is he anti-LGBT as well as a wife beater?
No, the movie is completely ignoring the fact that that Dumbledore is gay.
But so did
and
the
that-
books.
But is he even in those?
Yeah, but like J.K. Rowling like came out and said like, yeah, he's gay, and like he had a relationship with this other character that we're seeing in this movie. And like if you go back and you reread the books with that context, it's fairly obvious that they had a relationship going
I
on.
support that, but she
Yeah.
should have put it in the book. She shouldn't have retconned it.
Anyway.
I don't know. I didn't read these books or any of them.
Well,
Except the
these
last
weren't
one.
No,
books.
these weren't
weren't
books.
These are-
So this is based off of the play, right?
No, not even.
No.
I don't know.
So,
These are based off
I mean, we're getting off on a
tiny
Harry
books.
Potter thing, but there was a Fantastic Beasts book, but it was
Yeah.
like this reference guide to the beasts. It was just like,
It was like a textbook.
here's
Gotcha.
this animal and it does this thing. But the movie was a new story written specifically for the movie.
Oh.
So it's about the author of the textbook, Newt. And it's about his life, but it takes place in the past
Yeah.
from the Harry Potter world, and so Dumbledore is younger, and we see him in Grindelwald, and like they're really, I don't know if you remember from the books, but like they were friends in the books. They have like a relationship, and they were like plotting to sort of make this like new wizard government, and then Dumbledore ended up battling him, and they became enemies. But it's like, I guess it's supposed to be that they had like a sexual relationship.
Yeah.
They were
That clearly
together.
ended very poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not every day you try to murder your significant other.
Is that just like there's no divorce lawyers in the wizarding world, and that's just how you do it? It's like the old times in America, like you settle shit by dueling.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
bitch, let's take this out back.
Is that how divorce worked?
That's not how divorce works, but that's how political rivals.
Gosh,
Have you-
is that it? Is that plotline any more LGBT friendly than just not mentioning it? Like doing a whole.
That is the plot line Sam just suggested is completely fabricated by Sam. That is not what happened. They didn't get into a fight because of their relationship.
Settling with a magic duel, because this is a movie I would pay to see, guys. I don't even know where to go from this. Right, you should cut this out. This is horrible.
Yeah.
This has been our Harry Potter fan cast.
Like that thing where they replace all the mentions of wand in the book with Wang.
That's a thing.
That's awesome.
It's very funny.
Find and replace. So we do have another Harry Potter connection. Michael Gambon is in this movie. The second Dumbledore guy.
Yeah. Dumbledore 2.0.
Oh, yeah.
Dumbledore 2.
I remember struggling with that because, like, I just kept thinking of his character from Sleepy Hollow.
Huh. I don't remember him being in it, but clearly it's been a long time. Dumbledore.
Do you remember who else is in this movie?
The chick with the big eyes.
Christina Ricci.
Yeah. Thank you.
What did you say, Sam?
The chick with the big eyes.
Oh.
She has like giant
Wait a minute,
doe eyes.
is she actually the chick with the big eyes in the movie Big Eyes?
No.
No, I think that's the other
I don't
chick with the
know.
big eyes, which is Amanda Seyfried.
Oh, is that who it is?
Isn't it Amy Adams?
Clearly we know our shit right now.
Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah, it's Amy Adams.
Okay.
It's funny because I feel like Christina Ricci hasn't been in other Tim Burton movies, nor Christopher Walken. And they're like the spooky people. And it seems like they should be in more Tim Burton movies.
Well, that's because he found Helena Van Carter,
Bonham.
whatever her
Bonham
name is.
Carter.
Bonham Carter, and became obsessed and replaced all with
Became
her.
obsessed and then married her.
They didn't get married.
And then divorced.
Planet of the Apes was his first time with Helena Bonham Carter, and then she's like in everything after that.
Yeah, until like a couple years ago when they finally split up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was Christina Ricci and Ed Wood?
I mean,
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Sarah, I was going to say.
We're having a real, like, identifying Hollywood's women problem.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
are these
Yeah.
people? So we also have Casper Van Dien, who you probably know and love from Starship Troopers. And Christopher Lee is in this, and I don't even remember Christopher
Really?
Lee in that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
Wait, which one is Christopher Lee? I think I'm thinking of Christopher Lloyd.
Pretty
I
good.
knew that as well.
Christopher Lee was one of those old Hammer horror actors, but he was in the Star Wars prequels, Count Dooku.
Oh,
and
okay.
He was one of the Lord of the Rings evil wizards.
The guy with the obviously bad guy name, Saruman.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Saruman.
That sounds a lot like
It sounds like
Sauron.
sour, man.
Or he's just, his superpower is sadness. He's Saruman.
I just always felt like those villains. It was like, this is like his name, the big guy, the eye in the sky. His name is Bad Guy, and then this guy's name is like Baddish Guy, but he's on our side. Like,
That I always had that with Green Lantern. His main villain is Sinestro. And the way the story goes, like Sinestro is his friend who betrays him. It's like, come on, man. You trusted Sinestro. You didn't see that turn coming.
But you were my Sinest bro.
So Sam, why?
Dude,
Why are we watching this?
I don't know. It's just one of those movies.
That's a great answer.
It's just one of those movies that I just want to watch at this time. Like,
I'm pretty sure I've been suggesting it for years, too.
yeah. Ash is on my side. She knows what's up.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it's just one of those movies that's like, just embodies the Halloween spirit, and it's super fun without being too scary or too gory. So it hits that like magical note where it's definitely not something you'd show to a kid, but like fun for people that don't love slasher films and like gory, nasty stuff.
I feel like I was a kid when I saw this movie.
Yeah, but not
I don't think
like a
there's
little
problem showing
kid.
this to kids.
I mean, like,
It's rated R.
yeah,
Really?
I don't think it's something you'd want to show to like anything less than a preteen.
The R.
You know?
stands
Pretty
for
sure there's
really.
some like sexy scenes.
Yeah,
Interesting. I do not remember it being like
there is some
R-worthy.
gory stuff.
I remember it being quite softball.
I think
No,
it's because like in your mind you just don't want to like tie sexy thoughts and like anything Tim Burton together.
Well,
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of shots of Christina Ricci's bosoms.
yeah, but what about Edward Scissorhands? Like Winona Ryder and Edward Scissorhands?
I have to ask.
It's romantic, but not sexy. I'm not like, yeah.
Is it bosoms because it's old timey, Ash?
Yes,
yeah,
of course.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Edward Scissorhands is rated PG-13.
Yeah, I would expect every Tim Burton to be PG-13. I would expect that to be just part of the packaging.
I think
like-
this one has a little more of an edge than you remember.
That would be interesting.
Beetlejuice is PG, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that. Like, there's nothing
They
too
turned it
bad.
into a kid's show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense that cartoon exists. I'm still bitter about that.
So why do you like this film, Sam?
Yeah, it's just like really awesome at like capturing the spirit of the season, and it feels like fall. It's a little creepy, but still action-y, adventure-y. There's a little bit of mystery. It's got kind of that old-timey look to it without being too much of a
doing
period
slam
piece.
poetry right now?
Am I? I don't know. I've
It's got
had a
some
beer on an empty
mystery.
stomach.
It's Halloweeny and autumny. Sorry.
I'll take it. I don't know. Sure. Give me a beret. I'll take it. Yeah. No, I think I don't know what else I can say because I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's just fun.
How long has it been since you've seen it?
I don't even know. I remember
College? Really?
college, I think. Bret had me watch it and I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I think that's going to be too gory for me." He's like, "No, shut up, Sam. Quit being a baby." And I was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah,
and
it's
then
like Headless Horseman. She's like, Headless? Oh, no!
No, I think they must have really played up the like goriness in the advertising.
Were you like, don't worry, it's cauterized?
Well, I would
I don't
assume
know.
Sam's more comfortable with nearly headless.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
that
like
is.
the
I just
farthest she's willing
rewatched
to
Harry
go.
Potter, and that part was pretty nasty, gory. But
I feel like they kind of underutilized him for that, though.
in Harry Potter, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what else I can say other than it's just like fun, and it's a really good like fall movie to watch.
Is that your expectations as well?
Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be some dated stuff. My initial
Well, it is a period piece. so-
yeah, I mean, dated isn't like does not hold up.
Kidding.
And I think probably in regards to the special effects would be my guess. The story is pretty old, and I don't remember too much deviation from kind of the standard story with like a little mild twist. So I don't think we're gonna have kind of like an unexpected, accidentally sexist thing. Like,
Well,
oh, I misremember. I could be forgetting some major
I'm
stuff.
just saying, the time period that it takes
Yeah.
place in.
Yeah.
I think there will be
Of-
time period accurate sexism.
Yes, exactly.
Christina
But
Ricci's going to be like, I think I've solved it. And everyone's going to be like, you couldn't possibly have done that, woman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Burner.
And-
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
no, of course, like for the period, like my women, they can't yield a sword. Wahaha. Like I expect that sort of thing, but I don't expect like modern sort of like sexism. If that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Sexism for the
Sidebar.
modern era.
I
Yes.
wasn't expecting Chilling Adventures of Sabrina to be so Me Too. if you keep watching it, it's like, wow.
Oh, yeah, it's very Me Too and very, like, trans rights and, like, a little social justice warrior-y, which I appreciate, but it feels a little heavy-handed. Like, a little disingenuous, because, like, this is what all the kids care about now, so I guess we should put it in here.
Yeah, it's weird seeing, like, I mean, it's great seeing representation, but it's super weird seeing, like, stuff that's like, this is only in here because they know it's gonna make money because of it.
I mean, okay, so Gina Davis, her whole thing about women gaining equality in film is that...
Does she write it?
No. This is something different. So she has this whole, like, thing that she goes around to studios and talks about, and she says, like, take your script, write it as normal, and then just flip it so that half the characters are women. Don't rewrite the characters. Don't make them feminine. Just change the pronouns and change their names. So what that accomplishes is, like, it doesn't have women in your story for the sake of being feminine. They just are. Women just are in the story. So that's not quite where we're at with trans characters. They're in there to be trans, not, hey, it's a character who happens to be trans, like...
Well, so here's the weird thing with that nowadays, though, is it's like, it's not... it's not the standard where you write a male character and flip it. Now they're writing the stereotype of a strong female character, which is like, I don't know. What are you whining about?
That is horrifying.
But yeah, so I think that's the part that feels disingenuous, is it's not like the regular well-rounded character that happens to be female. I haven't watched the show. I'm just saying, like, a trend I've noticed in general. But it's not a well-rounded character that happens to be female. It's a hashtag strong female character, which is becoming like its own trope that it seems to exist in movies just because.
Yeah.
So anyway,
back to Sleepy Hollow.
Do you want to go back to Sleepy Hollow?
We won't find any of that here.
We'll have none of that equality in Sleepy Hollow.
If I remember, Christina Ricci's character was pretty... I think her character was pretty cool. I think she was really proactive, if I remember correctly. And she wasn't just like a damsel in distress. I could be wrong. It's been a long time.
I think she's mostly a damsel in distress.
Mostly.
Okay.
Who does dumb things. Sometimes.
Oh,
I think.
Okay, because I thought she had like a pretty cool battle thing, but I could be wrong.
So I think the last time I saw this was... I think this movie was at a disadvantage because it was around that time when DVD first started being a thing, and you would buy like 5 DVDs and watch those same movies over and over. And I think I wore this movie out. I remember really liking it. And now I don't remember where the line was, but now I'm on the side of that movie's kind of old and worn out. Like, it's not interesting anymore because it's been overplayed. Mm-hmm. Very likely that it's my fault for having overplayed it, in the way that the Wedding Singer and The Matrix at that time would have been played a few too many times.
Definitely.
But I definitely, there was a point where I really liked it, and then a point where I was just sick of it. And now it's been, I don't know, 15, 18 years. I mean, it's been a while. So I don't know. I don't know how this movie is going to play this time around. But I do think that Johnny Depp, though flawed, is an incredible actor. Mm-hmm. I know he does a lot of that, like, what was it? I feel like, Bret, we were talking about this maybe last year or the year before, this idea of it's spoopy.
Yeah.
So it's like this Scooby-Doo goofy version of scary. Mm-hmm. And that's not my favorite version of Johnny Depp. I think he has a tendency to do that, and so does Christina Ricci.
Spoopy Depp?
Yeah.
Why does she have that connotation?
Christina Ricci?
Yeah, she was in Casper.
Because of Adam's Family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she landed at the time when she just was that person who landed those roles and then got stuck with those similar roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get
I
it.
mean, typecasting.
Yeah.
Hey, it gets you work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm cautious about this. I'm not like super thrilled, but there definitely was a time when I really liked it. So, plus it's got Walken in it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Brett? What are you expecting?
So, I'm trying to look this up because
Brett's busy.
I don't quite remember, but I saw this movie. My cousin took me to go see it, and this was a rated R movie, and
That's a pretty cool cousin.
so he told his mom we were gonna go see. I believe it was Pokemon.
What? These
the
are
one
the
we
same
did for this
year?
podcast?
They were the same month, I believe.
Wow.
And he said, we're going to go see the Pokemon movie. And I was like, aw, yeah. And we got to the theater and we bought tickets and he didn't say Pokemon. I was like, what is this? What are we doing? And he's like, we're going to go see this movie. Look at this shit. Christopher Walken. He's in it. His teeth are all pointy. I heard that he actually filed his teeth down. And I was like, what the fuck is this movie? This is going to be terrifying. And so we watched that movie and it was okay. But now thinking back on it, I gotta disagree. I think this is gonna be a bad movie, Sam.
Oh no.
I don't like to go into movies super pessimistically, but I'm not certain there's a lot here. I think Christopher Walken is in it, and I don't think he says anything.
Yeah, I think that's
Which
true.
is like what does Christopher Walken do if not say things?
Dance.
Yeah, he dances. That is the answer.
Yeah, that's the other Sam tie-in. I guess he's the Fat Boy Slim dancer, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so I think this is like, I don't know. This is like the prime Spooky Depp for sure. Spoopy Depp, sorry. But I don't think this movie is very spoopy. Maybe it will be, but I'm not sure that it will be.
It's spooky.
That's a lot of unsureness.
On like the same level as like Beetlejuice is spooky. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
I think it's a
like,
little more dark.
Hold on. Beetlejuice has not spooky. Beetlejuice has a high spoopiness value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think this movie has a high spooky or spoopiness value. This is my prediction.
I would agree. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying, like we watched the original Halloween, and I wouldn't say that of that movie either. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't very scary. But I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's something cool with like flames in this, but I hope there's a cool flames thing that happens.
On the side of somebody's face.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think literally, but we'll see.
Yeah. I think it's in the tree.
I was gonna say I think they burned down a house.
Maybe.
I think we're going to have to watch the movie and find out.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from this, Ash?
I really love this movie, but I also haven't seen it in a long time because I've been waiting for us to watch it on the podcast. So I think the last time I saw it might have been college as well. But yeah, I loved this movie when it came out, and I kind of became like obsessed with it. But I always became obsessed with Tim Burton's early films because I just love them. But I also really remember loving the behind the scenes for this movie, and because it was the time period when like the behind the scenes for movies actually were good, and they like actually like took you through like the scenes and how they did them.
So you mean the time before the internet when we were really like searching for things to entertain us?
I guess I just there was a time period in like the mid. It was either
like the golden age,
90s or early 2000s, where behind the scenes turned into the actors just telling you, recapping the story narrative of the film that you just watched,
Yeah.
and us watching clips
Yeah.
of the movie we just watched, and I'm like, no, I want to see behind the
Or
scenes. I
that
don't
clip
wanna
of
see.
Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug, where he's just like, "Wow, I'm in a green, like a morph suit."
Yeah.
Like,
Like they stopped telling you how they actually like did anything.
Yeah.
And it was just fluff. So I remember owning the DVD for this movie as well, and like watching the behind the scenes over and over again, because it was so interesting. All the stuff like I remember that rumor about Christopher Walken filing down his teeth, but I think they like talk about like the fake teeth that they did for him, and they talk about how like Christopher Walken didn't know how to ride a horse, so that was like a thing, and like how Johnny Depp like did all his own stunts.
was Christopher
But-
Walken teased to walking everywhere?
Wow.
Oh, Brett.
I'm Christopher Walken. I'm not Christopher Ryden.
Right.
If you need that, call
But-
Winona Ryder.
It's so bad, but it's so good.
But the other thing I really loved about this film is like the set design
Yeah.
is just so good, and like
And it's
the costumes.
so moody, and they're colored. The
Yes.
way they use color, if I remember correctly, is really cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's
I'm gonna snuggle up with Brett here and say that I think we will find watching this time around that the set design will feel like it was all just built in a soundstage. Like it feels
Aw,
very
man.
soundstagey.
Because once you plant that seed, that shit grows.
Yeah.
I
Ick.
guess I
It
don't know
grows.
why that's a problem, because Princess Bride is all shot in the soundstage too. Like I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Like
Well, when it
I don't know.
feels like we're watching something on a soundstage,
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Yeah. So it's like the difference between Princess Bride and Legend. Right?
right, but like
don't know
I
what
think
point you're
the
making.
visuals in Legend were really cool.
Wait.
Like I
Was it?
personally thought they were pretty cool. It's just the story sucked, you know.
Yeah.
I think it allowed them to get a very stylized look on this movie that I don't think they could have otherwise done. And I just remember specifically thinking it looked really, really cool. I do know for a fact that they did build, because I remember from the behind the scenes, they built the city front. So like the town, not city, but the town that Ichabod arrives at, they like built the facades of all those houses. So like some exteriors are real, but there is stuff with like the tree and in the forest where it's on the soundstage. But I think it allowed them to get like a really cool look
Yeah.
film.
I do remember the movie looking kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, visually, I think this film is pretty striking, and I think visually it'll hold up personally,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just because that's like, I mean, that's Tim Burton's thing, right? You know, if it's gonna do anything, it's gonna be visually interesting.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
I feel like unfortunately that's Tim Burton's thing. Like at least it looked good. Like
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
honestly, like, do you really need a fabulous story if it's just fun to watch? Like,
I
Legend
didn't need it
proved
for
that
Interstellar.
wasn't true.
Well, call Michael Bay and ask him that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would.
That's true.
I mean, okay, we can get into a whole nother podcast on Michael Bay,
Yeah,
but I will say Michael Bay is like the glitter of TV. Like, it's just too much
Sure.
sparkle, too much of this, too much.
the bedazzle.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like you gotta use it.
yeah.
You gotta know how to balance.
But fun fact, I was so obsessed with this film that I not only read the original Sleepy Hollow, but I also did a stage performance with some friends of a scene of this film.
That's awesome.
Yeah, where I can't remember if I played Ichabod or not, but we did it for like a talent show, and we were like very serious about it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I was pretty obsessed with this movie for quite a while. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm curious if I think the set design and the costumes will hold up, but I'm not so sure about the CG. We will see.
Yeah, I can't imagine the CG holding up, but I hope I'm wrong.
Oh, this seems like a movie that shouldn't have any CG.
Right.
And I'm not sure if it does or not, but I feel like there's something with the actual pumpkin head.
Yeah.
Like to give it an expression and like fake flames and stuff.
I mean,
like that.
what was this? 1999.
Right.
93 or no 99? Yeah.
So
sorry.
the same year that Lost is. This is the year of the worst CG.
But I think you're right, Brett. I don't think this is that type of movie.
Yeah. No, there's not going to be a lot.
I don't think so. I think
feel
it's a lot of practical stuff. Okay.
Great. Okay, because I was like, if there's no CG, I think it'll be good.
What the CG is. Oh, it's going to be so bad, guys.
Oh, no. Yeah, of course it's going to be bad. It can't be good.
I do feel like we have to acknowledge how stupid children are because both of you mentioned, you didn't say whether you believed it or not, but mentioned this pervasive idea that Christopher Walken filed his teeth down. Like, if that is a dumb thing for people to have any faith in. Like, why an actor would just like, yeah, I'm so dedicated to this film.
12. Yeah.
Yeah, children are dumb.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're going to watch this and it's just going to look like he fucking like grease penciled his teeth pointy.
Yeah.
No.
Hmm.
Yeah, like in the Disney version, he's a schoolhouse teacher.
Interesting. Johnny Depp is the embodiment of mousy cowardly.
It's probably true.
All right, well, let's check it out and see whether it holds true to all those expectations. So we're going to watch Sleepy Hollow from 1999, and then we'll jump back on the mic and see what we think.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun dun.
Headless horseman will kill you, and then get your pumpkin.
Dun,
He really likes
dun,
pumpkins for some reason. That's unrelated and not explained in the movie.
Isn't that like a Christmas song?
Maybe.
A Nightmare Before Christmas song.
It is not Good King Wenceslas.
No?
Well, I guess we should address how much this movie stole from Futurama.
What?
Because they were making it right at the turn of the millennium, and they wanted to make a whole big deal about it, so they sent it at the other turn of the millennium.
Time out. Because the turn of the millennium happens 200 years later, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. A millennium would be 1,000 years.
I think
so
they
it wasn't
used the wrong word.
Well, the movie was made in 1999, and so was Futurama. So Futurama was set in 2099, and this was set in 1799. And they made a whole big deal about it being the millennium. But Bret made a good point, is that it wasn't the millennium.
No.
Hmm.
So they tried to steal something from Futurama and failed.
Well, the original story is set in the 1790s.
Yeah, it's
so
1790, but this made it specifically 1799 to 1800.
Yeah.
And he said millennium.
Yeah, they said
he totally
millennium,
did.
And they were wrong. They're just bad at stuff.
I guess that just ruins the whole movie then.
It's over.
Yeah, I'm glad that's the thing you're focusing
So much
on.
of this movie relied on the exact date. Like,
Yeah.
So, Nick, did you?
Well, you're going straight to me?
I am. Miranda Richardson. Did we not talk about her?
No, we didn't.
I
didn't
talk about her. I did have her on the list, but
Yeah. I mean, she's kind of a big deal. She was in Lost in Space and other things.
that was it.
She was in Lost in Space?
Right? She plays the villain chick. Is that not Miranda
Villain
Richardson?
In the new Lost in Space?
No. Oh, no. I'm getting her mixed up with somebody else. But Miranda Richardson was also in Harry Potter. She was Rita Skeeter.
Oh, yes.
And then also Uncle Vernon
Yeah, I thought
Was
you
in
were gonna
this.
say this movie stole a lot from
from Harry Potter.
You mean all the actors?
All the actors.
All the actor in that
Oh,
fucking pedo.
and one
from Ferris
pedophile
Bueller.
person, yeah, which Bret didn't recognize, and I had to point out
Yeah.
Pedophile person.
the
Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah, the principal from Ferris Bueller.
He's a pedophile?
Yes, we have had this discussion, I'm certain. But yes,
Oh.
he's
I
awful.
don't remember the details. It might have been like child porn or something.
Oh,
Yeah. And he's so good in Ferris Bueller and also in Ravenous. But it's tough when, yeah.
no. When he's ravenous for children.
Ugh.
Ew.
Ugh.
Ugh. Uncomfortable.
So I have questions.
All right, let's
Okay,
hear him.
let's do it.
What was happening in that courtroom scene in the beginning?
Yo.
I don't know.
I do want to talk about that.
Right? It was, and clearly the storytellers needed to have somebody yelling at him for his investigative techniques. But what was happening before Christopher Lee was yelling at him? Was there a trial of some sort? Did the trial have anything to do with, I don't know, Sleepy Hollow?
It
Was Ichabod Crane on trial? Because I don't think he can send an investigator as a form of punishment to another town if that investigator's not on trial.
I think that happens all the time. If you make your superiors angry, they can totally reassign you.
but this
for
was
sure.
made
But
That's
in
a
the
real thing that
courtroom,
happens.
like the judge isn't his superior. The judge should have been hearing a trial, maybe?
Yeah, I think what it was is that Ichabod was defending the poor people that were getting thrown into jail.
Okay.
And it was causing waves with all the city folk. And they were like, you want to solve a mystery? Go solve a real mystery.
Yeah, but what we're led to believe in that scene is that this guy he was defending, his innocence or guilt is based on the outcome of the Sleepy Hollow thing.
No, I didn't get that from that scene at all. What I got from that scene is the person he was defending confessed under torture. And Ichabod Crane was trying to make the point that this confession is not real. He gave the confession under torture, and our methods for getting confessions and solving crimes are outdated and antiquated.
So, okay, so what's weird about the sentence that was handed down was that there was no sentence handed down to the person on trial.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
That's what's weird
in the
about
part
that
of the
scene.
in the part of the scene that we saw, but that's
Okay.
because he was speaking out of turn. And so basically the judge was saying, I can either hold you in contempt of court or I can reassign you. And the judge basically chose, I'm going to reassign you because Ichabod still spoke up to the judge even after he said, I'll hold you in contempt of court.
So did he just stop
That was
caring about
basically
the
what he was
guy in the chains?
Yeah.
Like,
The guy's like, am I innocent or, oh, you shut up. We're
I
talking to
don't
this
think
other guy
it's
now.
important to the
it felt
story.
important.
That scene's broken. Like the scene should be, from his direct police superior
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
But that was the direct police superior standing next to the judge.
Okay, then that's the guy who should have been yelling at him in a completely separate place from a courtroom.
But
That was a
judges
weird
can do
scene.
whatever they want when it's old timey times. I don't know. I mean, have you heard?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's old-timey time.
I don't think it worked the same way back then.
Have you heard the
I
new
think-
season of Serial? I feel like judges can do whatever they want today. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that far fetched, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's the same thing that happens in Hot Fuzz, except it's not a punishment in Hot Fuzz. Well, actually, I think
For
it
the
is,
greater
but it's
good.
the same story mechanic. He's just being he's an upstart and he's being sent off because he's causing too much waves. That's like the point of the scene.
Yeah, but was he a lawyer?
He was a constable, so I don't think he was necessarily a lawyer, but I think he was working on the case and probably called as a witness. Or perhaps, something to that sort. I just don't think it's important.
I was the catalyst for the whole movie, so,
That's an interesting perspective. You don't think it's important. I don't think the screenwriter thought it was important.
Yeah.
They just wanted some scenario where a judge was yelling at him and didn't worry about that making any damn sense.
I think you're trying to apply modern day logic to
we're bound by reason, Ash.
a law system. Yeah, and it didn't. The law system back then didn't have any reason. That's like Ichabod's whole point in the. It's not based in real science.
I did like that one line when he's like, I need to, look at the bodies, and he's like, oh, and what cut them open? What are we, heathens? And then they walk in that dude and just throw him into a fucking pit.
Yeah, because for the time, his ideas were very radical and, not welcome, the idea of cutting open bodies, for sure. If anybody's ever listened to Sawbones, you've already heard a lot of that, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Sawbones covers that pretty well.
So, speaking of being bound by reason...
Okay.
Why did Miranda Richardson need the Headless Horseman?
Because I don't understand. Also...
Kid logic.
What... maybe she just covered really important details all too quickly, but, I didn't quite understand why she needed all of those other people to die.
She explained.
I know she explains it, but,
anybody who knew that there was a will that passed... the money away from her into somebody else had to die.
Or knew about the marriage and the unborn child.
But
what?
I think we're meant to believe that she needed a killer to kill people for her. Yet, in the course of executing this plan, she killed 2 people. Okay. How did she kill them? Well, she cut their heads off. So why does she need the Headless Horseman?
Because, Nick... if you have a headless horseman, you use a headless horseman.
Yeah, totally.
Actually,
why
Bret makes a very fucking valid point right here.
At what cost? It's I'm going to make a deal with Satan. She literally said making a deal with Satan.
But she was 7 or whatever. That shit was done. She's like, man, maybe I shouldn't have promised my soul to the devil. But
guess I might as well use it now.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. I think also she wanted to appear as innocent as possible.
Yeah.
What I will say is the point in her plot that doesn't make any sense to me is when she faked her own death and then somehow assumes that she's going to come back from death and take possession of all the riches in the land. Isn't everyone going to be like, but you died?
I guess her explanation at that point would just be the truth, which is, he didn't kill me. He killed the maid.
Yeah.
Except she killed the maid.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Yeah, but she's saying.
But the husband dude was like, he killed her. And then,
But the whole cutting the thing in her hand was a way for her to have positive identification of the dead body.
Yeah, was that all that was?
That's weird. Yeah, I don't know.
What did she do that for?
Yeah. No, that was she did that so that Ichabod would think that body was her. Because Ichabod brings up earlier in the movie how, you have no positive identification for these bodies.
Yeah.
Because the heads are gone. And so she cut her hand knowing that he was watching her on purpose so that when the body showed up with the cut in it, Ichabod would assume that she was dead.
Because it looked like some witch shit going on.
Yeah, it did.
I think it was a little bit of that too, but
I don't quite understand that.
She made a whole point of being see my cut, she definitely wanted him to see it.
Yeah,
and she knew that he saw her cut
I thought she was just a sex freak.
Yeah.
She's definitely that too.
She
I do
was
have to give her
sleeping with
credit
a
for the ultimate power move, which was the soldier, the Christopher Walken coming into the woods, and he's like, "Be quiet! Don't tell anybody I'm here." And she just snaps the stick.
Yeah.
Fucking badass.
Technically not disobeying.
Yep. Yeah, I have a lot of questions, guys. I'm sorry.
You do?
Wow.
Yeah. It's fun,
Okay.
but like, I just don't understand a lot of things. I think it's because a lot of things were talked at me instead of shown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because what are they gonna, like? What's the extended scene with the will writing? Like, do they just keep flashing back to the writing of the will? P.S. Like, if my daughter dies, then give all the money to her. Like,
Yeah, they can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Why did the little kid have to die?
that's a good question.
Yeah,
I guess-
mean, I think the assumption would be that he overheard the conversation.
Yeah.
Also, if
Or that the Horseman is just thorough.
he's a
Yeah.
good killer.
Yeah.
And thorough.
And that was the most Terminator scene of the movie. Like, that was the most enjoyable part.
Watching
Was
the
it
kid getting
child
murdered? Yeah.
It was a very tense scene, you know, hiding under the floorboards
Yeah.
and the mother's eyes falling in the
Yeah.
cracks of
Yeah.
the, you know,
I love the little thing that's like casting the shadows on the wall during
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie.
which also cast a shadow with the raised axe. I mean,
Oh, I
that was a well orchestrated, tense scene.
How big are your eyes? My eyes are like that. They had huge cracks in their floor.
That I do buy in like a colonial era Dutch village that, you know, they didn't have all the supplies we might have. I could see cracks in the floor.
All right.
You know, if you have big cracks, you can just sweep the dirt away.
That's true. You just sweep it right into the floor.
Yeah.
All right.
This is boring and probably not anything you care about, but most houses in those days usually just had a dirt floor.
Oh, so these were upper lower class.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's you know, no go on the positive female character there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, when he just takes out a piece of cardboard with pictures on both sides and spins it on a string, and she goes, "Magic!"
Yeah.
I lost all respect for that character.
Yeah, she was not awesome and willful like I thought at all. It was kind of a bummer. Also, there was weird
Well-
corpse rape shit going on there at the end.
Well, the rapey corpse.
Yeah, the Christopher Walken like eats
Yeah.
her face off.
I mean, to her credit, I think optical illusions at that time period were probably mind-blowing. Like, the first time people saw film, they thought an actual train was driving towards them. So I could totally believe that she would be fooled by something like that in that time
But they
period.
It was a piece of cardboard on a
And they
string.
presented it to us as this is the thing that entertains children.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a big leap from a piece of cardboard on a string to a film projector.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody, like, there's that story of the film of the train scaring people. I definitely think people were startled. I do not think people believed a train was coming at them.
Yeah. I think the common story is that I thought kids thought that's what was happening and that kids would frequently like wet their pants in the theaters when they saw the train
I
thing.
mean, I've heard that people ran from the theater, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could certainly see being startled.
Yeah, I think I
You've
have
never
heard that.
expected to see anything like that,
Like,
but
literally on the second day, though, like all those people who ran on the first day are like hella embarrassed.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Just like when those like viral videos go around with like the jump scares in them. You know, like the first granny or two that gets them emailed to them, like gets internet famous for their reactions, and everyone else is like, skeleton's gonna jump out in this puppy video, isn't it? You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks, Bret. Always got my back. Oh, the other creepy rapey thing.
Man, you guys are
Oh,
bumming.
sorry, not sorry, not creepy rapey thing. Other like sexist thing. Dude, Christina Ricci was 19 years old in this movie.
Ooh, casting.
I was wondering about this.
Do you know how old Johnny Depp was?
Guessing 35.
36.
Good guess.
Nice.
Gross. Way gross.
Yeah. Well, that's not the first or last time.
Also, whoever decided to turn her blonde, that was a mistake.
Yep. No, that shit doesn't
She just
work.
looked anemic.
Yep.
Well, that is the Tim Burton style.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
Anemic women.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
totally.
need those sick women.
Translucent skin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the sister witch was very Helena Bonham Carter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, dude has a type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
What-
mean, yeah.
Why did she have to murder her sister?
Because she helped Ichabod.
Just for shits and giggles.
She helped her sister helped Ichabod?
Yeah, she pointed him to
Yeah.
the tree.
What? Did you watch this?
Yes. Why did
Remember
I not?
that
feel
part
like-
where there was the
how did
witch
you
and she
not?
cut off the bird's head? And then she was like, yo, this is where all of the
She's
plot
like,
stuff
go
happens.
here.
Oh.
Yeah, go to the
This is
hollow.
all the
Okay.
plot stuff
So
happens.
I didn't realize that was her sister. Okay.
Oh.
No, that makes sense now.
We only really found out at the end when she's like, BT Dubs, my sister was the witch.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I think it made a lot of sense because she talked about them living in the
Yeah,
woods
no, it-
together and how their mother was a
It
witch,
makes sense
so-
now, for sure.
And Brett, I extra like what you're saying, like, this is where all the plot happens. Because once again, think about it. The very end of the movie, the Headless Horseman is chasing down the people who Miranda Richardson wants dead. Where does Miranda Richardson want to go? Does she really want to go to that tree and bring the skull with her? The one thing that could stop him and stop her entire plan?
Yeah.
She's going to that tree because that's where plot happens. But her best move would be to stay far, far away from that tree.
This is my new favorite thing. It's the plot tree.
Plot tree.
Yeah.
I think what we're finding out is that Miranda Richardson's character was just not very good at planning.
No.
No. I mean, if,
Well, no, that's why she had to keep murdering people,
Yeah.
right?
like, sand slipping through your fingers.
It kind of had like a King of the Ashes vibe going on. Like, if you kill the entire town, like what? What are you gonna do?
Take the money and go to another town.
Yes.
Yeah. She doesn't
That's
need
something
the
I
town.
think about, like the 1700s. Like,
You think about killing the whole town.
well, I think of how easy it would be to just disappear, go to
Yeah.
another town, be another person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
I mean, like with the servant girl, she's like, "Oh, she ran away."
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that's the seed for a lot of Westerns. Like, you can just show up in another place and say, here's who I am, you know?
Yeah.
I'm a doctor, you know?
It does.
I mean, literally, like, yeah, that happened a lot.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me.
That was like a serial killer MO, in fact.
Yes.
Yeah, a
like the guy who
serial
made
killer
the
could
murder
really
hotel.
flourish pre-1800.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's that murder hotel that guy built just to murder people.
What?
Wow.
Like
It's,
real?
I forget his name. Oh yeah, this is for real. I think it was in Colorado. There's a Sawbones episode about it, I think. But he basically like, is it Sawbones?
That doesn't
Maybe it's
sound like a
something else.
Sawbones episode, but you never know.
You're right. It might be,
Last
it might be
podcast?
last
Yeah.
podcast on the left.
Uh,
But this guy like built this whole hotel with like secret passageways and
Like
whatnot, where he could,
Hotel
like,
Royale?
ooh, yes.
I don't know what
The
that-
movie.
That's
I
out.
haven't seen it yet,
Oh.
and I really want to.
Okay, we won't say anything. Okay, continue with the murder hotel.
Oh, he just like murdered a bunch of people.
The
But I think
secret-
he pretended to be a doctor too.
Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. That sounds legit.
Oh, cool.
That was basically like the cover up for a lot of serial killers. They're like, but I'm a doctor.
Yep.
That's why I have body parts around.
Or the just skipping
Gross.
town thing was like also last podcast. That Albert Fish dude is like, I'm gonna
Oh,
kill
yeah.
kids, and then every time's like, hey, are you killing kids? He's like, nah, I'm leaving.
That's horrible.
Wow.
Murderers suck.
Yeah.
Wow, you're coming out on a firm stance there.
It's getting political.
All right. So Sam,
Okay, I know I've done a lot of shit talking, but I thought this was really fun.
yeah.
Thank God, because you were like breaking my heart over there. Jesus.
I mean, it's one of those movies where I don't think like in terms of cinema, it's like a great movie, you know? But it's so much fun, and it's like really campy and cheesy, but it's pretty much what I said before. Like, it just embodies the spirit of Halloween and fall, and I would watch it again.
It is very autumnal.
Yes. With all the death trees.
Good use of autumnal.
I was surprised at how Tim Burton-y it was. And your call, Nick, about it being like Sweeney Todd was spot on. Like, there was so much, like, paint, blood spray everywhere for no reason.
Yeah, I feel like Tim Burton really had a fucking hard-on for, like, spraying people with a single line of blood in the face in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah, they were
you
having
guys are
fun as he was
just-
hacking at the tree. It's just...
breaking my heart. I think it's hilarious. I love it. And, like, I think you can see here, like, the roots of Ash's future cinema style with, like, oh, it's really funny to spray people with copious amounts of blood. Like, I think it's hilarious.
It is, and I think you are finding the humor in it. I don't think he intended it to be that funny.
yeah, I feel like it was a joke once in the movie, and the rest of them were pretty serious.
I mean, I remember watching the behind the scenes, and they talked about how I think it was supposed to be funny.
Okay.
Like, at both times, yeah.
I mean, it happened like
I
5 or 6 times.
Happened a lot of times.
The one thing I did love about it was the red herring of the seal on the envelope. You know, it's over the opening credits, and we're meant to think it's a pool of blood, but it's just the melted wax for the seal.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good visual gag.
Mm-hmm.
Really? You thought it was a pool of blood?
Oh, yeah, I think you're supposed to think that when it first drips in.
It's all bloody.
It's just so thick. It's like too thick.
I mean, none of the blood really looked like realistic blood.
No,
so.
it doesn't look like real blood, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's way too saturated.
And it
for
wasn't
sure.
like consistently saturated. Like sometimes it was like candy apple red, sometimes it was like orangey red. But I did like how they kind of muted the background out, and then it really made the blood colors pop.
Yeah, I think they were trying to make it look like paintings of the time period.
Huh.
Like, if you look at paintings of the time period, the color palette of this movie is very much like that, and the sort of muted, earthy colors, you know? Yeah.
Totally.
No, one thing I was wrong about is it did not feel like soundstage the whole time.
No.
No.
And I feel like I'm thinking of something else. There's another movie of this level where it was just a bummer because it just felt like it was a soundstage.
I think it's the never-ending story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it really does feel like a soundstage in that movie.
Yeah,
There was like one shot where I was like, oh, I do see kind of the back wall, but it was only because you like put that vision in my mind, and I was like looking for it. But yeah, they shot this at Shepperton Studios in England, and it's like, I believe it's like one of the biggest studio spaces that they have, so that they could like build, like they built like this huge forest for it, and like a lot of those shots are in a soundstage environment, and it's really impressive. Again, if you watch the behind the scenes for it, they show this like huge area they built for it.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool looking. I don't know. I liked all the art. And honestly, like the one CG scene wasn't that bad.
Right? Yeah, I was
the
surprised.
effects totally held up.
There were a couple CG scenes, but that one, it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Many of them were not distracting. One or two of them were very distracting.
But not like Lost in Space level distracting.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised with the like skull reforming and growing flesh. Like, that was pretty well done.
And the whole time I'm thinking, why is this painful? Like, he's like really suffering through that, and I'm not sure that would be a painful thing.
Was he suffering, or was he like, oh yeah,
oh yeah, that's the stuff. Oh yeah, muscle tissue.
The gigantic spider in this film, the kids The kid's like, don't worry, it's just a spider. And I was like, that is not just a spider.
No, that kid has seen some fucked up shit if he thinks that's just a spider.
Yeah.
You mean
That
Tiny
is-
John Cusack?
That's totally
seen
what
some
he
crazy
looks like.
spiders.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. I'm like, that's no spider.
No. Yeah, that was, if that happened in my house, I would be like, well, we're just burning the house down now.
Yeah.
We don't live here
Yeah,
anymore.
no.
Bye.
Yeah. You light it on fire and then you submit your insurance claim.
Oh, what was wrong? Oh, there was a spider.
Yeah.
A
I had-
spider. You don't
I had to
understand.
burn it down.
Well, I love this film. I still like it. I think it's really fun. And I think what's really interesting about it that I never realized before is that this film kind of takes two different types of stories and combines them. So it takes like the monster in the house, like monster after you story, and it takes a whodunit and shoves them together,
Yeah,
which
totally.
I don't know that I've really seen before or after. And I thought that was kind of interesting because it is a murder mystery, but there very much is a supernatural, scary monster.
Yeah.
coming
And
at
It was Clue, but the murder weapon was a monster.
Yeah, and I think after that kind of that scene where the townspeople trick him into thinking that they're the headless monster, you know, I think it kind of sets up the audience to believe that it's not real. You know,
Well, that's the story, Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Like when
that-
Casper Van Dien reveals that he was faking and there was no real horseman, that's the end of the story.
is that a story? Yeah, I don't remember the
Really?
original.
I don't remember that. I thought it was.
I mean, it certainly
Real.
didn't end with a real headless horseman.
well, it's a story. Why not? It's not.
This is
real.
clearly the far superior version, right, Ash? Like this version.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you want a real headless horseman in the story?
Depends on what type of story you're trying to tell.
It's true.
It says on Wikipedia, it says, although the nature of the headless horseman is open into interpretation, the story implies that the ghost was really Brahm. So you are kind of correct, I guess, but they don't conclusively say it.
I'm going to conclusively say there's no ghosts.
But I think they have a fun interpretation of the story in this.
Yeah, I agree. It's super fun. And, like, I don't know. I'd watch it
So
again.
there's a category of movies, I think you'll appreciate this, Brett. It's hard to describe. I think of them as Tropic Thunder movies,
Huh.
What?
right? Because in the beginning of Tropic Thunder, it began with a bunch of fake movie trailers, you know, that were so crazy and over the top. Wouldn't it be ridiculous if they made this movie, right? That's what this movie feels like. What about a Sleepy Hollow movie by Tim Burton? You know, it's like, okay, yeah, that's ridiculous because nobody would actually make that movie. That movie is the joke.
Is that like the Key and Peele sketch about Gremlins 2?
Yes. It's exactly
Kind
that.
of. It's like Johnny Depp as Ichabod Crane. Like, that's a punchline. It's not a movie that you actually make.
I don't know. They made it, and I'm glad they did.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the Rotten Tomatoes score for it is pretty good. I think generally people like this film.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty popular movie.
What is the score? Like, let me guess. Like, 69.
nice.
Jesus Christ.
That was for Patrick.
Well, I had to pull it up because you are incredibly close. The critic rating is 68%, but the audience rating is 80%.
Okay.
You can't
So generally, audiences really like
trust
it.
that audience.
I feel like you just can't trust Rotten Tomatoes.
That is the truer point.
Yeah.
It's too subjective, and like people really get on the hate train real quick and like dismiss really good movies. Like, I don't know. It's like judging an In and Out and the French Laundry on the same system. You know, that's not really fair. Like, not every movie is trying to be the French Laundry, and not, you know, if you went into the French Laundry expecting a greasy, delicious burger, you're going to be sad.
See, this brings me to my review of the film.
Oh no.
Which is that some movies aspire to be, the ballet. Sometimes you get pop and lock and hip hop dancing. This movie was kind of like Riverdance, in that like it starts up and like everybody's dancing together and it's like and you're like, all right, yeah, and then like a couple minutes into it, you're like, okay, yeah, we're coming back around to that, and they're still just stomping, and then you realize the show goes on for another hour and a half, and it's like, okay, well, it was cool, and I guess it's just as cool for an hour and a half, but I'm just not into it, and I think it's have I talked before about the Tim Burton look and how I'm just done? Yeah, that's that. It's really just that. Like the movie wasn't bad. Like the story was fun and the most of the stuff that happened was fun. I'm just tired of the Tim Burton look because it's every single thing has to be like so interesting, like his shitty zoom goggle one eyepiece thing.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
I would have loved that had it been the only time I've ever seen it, but it's in every Tim Burton thing.
If you were to look at that still and somebody were to ask you who made the film in which this still appears, you can answer that question.
Yeah, exactly.
100% of the time.
It's like
what's wrong with that? I feel like you can say the same thing of Wes Anderson, of Quentin Tarantino,
and to an extent.
Like, I don't see
and
that
that's
as a
true,
problem.
but I mean, I agree with Bret. Like, it's an exhausting aesthetic.
Yeah.
My cup runneth over.
I think that's what it is. Like,
yeah, it was the villain from The Incredibles it's the best line. When everyone is special, nothing is. That's when every frame is special. No frames are special. Like this is, it wore me out after a few minutes, and then it's just like a regular movie. It wasn't like a movie with some really cool stuff in it. It was a movie with like everything is really cool, so it's like hard to focus on anything or care about any of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys should check out the chat. Like, I felt like this was less like Tim Burton's style, and this is more like I was saying. They're trying to make paintings from that time period. So if you look at like this Wikipedia thing, like you'll see paintings of Ichabod Crane and the Headless Horseman from that time that look like they could have come right out of this movie. Like he was trying to recreate this painting. The moment in the film that felt Tim Burton-y to me that was over the top is when at the end Christina Ricci is wearing that ridiculous striped dress.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah, she was
that
wearing
was,
Beetlejuice's clothes.
But like the rest of the film to me just feels like these old oil paintings, and I think it's like really interesting. An interesting look that he achieved really well.
Yeah.
Like every frame feels like it could have been an oil painting, which I think is really cool.
I don't think that's the part that feels heavy-handed, like the backgrounds. I think it's those little touches, like the little
like there's
details.
that scene where Christina Ricci's looking out the window, and it's like even like, oh yeah, it can't just be a window. Like one of those things has to have like a big round, like weird thing, and like just every single. Nothing is normal in Tim Burton world, and it's annoying.
and because I agree with you, Bret, I'm going to put words in your mouth now.
Okay.
It can be a good thing and still not be something that I'm into.
That.
Like, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's bad. And to illustrate that point, I would say, Bret, do you want some pizza right now?
Oh, no.
No? But isn't pizza great?
Yeah, no, this is the most I've ever agreed with your statement about that. It's a cool thing that I'm over.
We've had too much.
Something can be good and other people can like it. It's just not for me.
Because isn't arguably the first Transformers pretty good? Like it's
Okay, you're off the show. No.
God damn it.
I would say the first Transformers is less bad than the rest.
Really? You thought it was... I guess I haven't seen it
How old
since...
is that? Can we put that on the document?
Yeah. No, we can't.
There's definitely stuff to be enjoyed in that movie and mistakes that were made.
It came out like 2007 or 8.
Everybody pretty much liked the first one. Everyone was super hyped for the second one.
Yeah.
I think it came out even before 2007.
Yeah.
I feel like it came out when we were in high school.
That was that.
That's
thing
when I
too.
watched it.
Michael Bay showed up at the theater, and it was because it was the second Transformers movie, and everyone was like, "All right, we're so pumped for this."
Yeah.
And then it went real bad.
Oh shit, you were right, Sam. It was 2007.
Wow. I think what's more interesting about that is how many of those movies he's put out in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a similar concept. Like, how many movies has Tim Burton put out since 1999 when this movie came out? Like, there was that. His aesthetic was really cool and still pretty fresh when he was putting out a movie every 4 to 5 years. But then there was that span where he put out a movie literally like every year for like 4 or 5 years. And I think that's kind of...
It was around the time Alice in Wonderland happened, and everyone was like, okay, we're fucking done with you, Tim Burton.
See, for me, I think that's... You just put your finger on it for me. Like, I really like the more, like, his original look and style, which I think this film falls in that category. Yeah. And then there's a point where his films started to push it over the top. And that for me was like the Alice in Wonderland, the Sweeney Todd,
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Like, those for me were too much. But films like this and Beetlejuice, like, I mean, you used the word, Sam, those little touches. Like, they're little touches in this film. It's not that heavy-handed. It's just like, there's a few things that are like, oh yeah, that's very Tim Burton, but like overall the film just feels like a historical.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like
piece.
it's the context of the podcast sort of thing for me about it is like, I think you're right. And I think that it's just at this point in time, it's it didn't age well for me because of what happened to his style. And then now seeing it anywhere in the past is like, oh.
Yeah, and different imagery triggers different things in different people, you know? Like, if, like, Ash and I, who really like the movie, you know, for us, it triggers, like, old-style Tim Burton, and it doesn't hit that kind of annoying nerve.
Totally.
So for you guys, it obviously hits on, like, that over-the-top
Cannot
aesthetic.
be unseen.
Yeah. Also...
I think it also says something for people who, like... You know, sometimes it helps with, like, creativity, I think, can be good when you have limitations. And sometimes you see these directors or filmmakers who, like, make something really good because they had limitations. Like, for example, the big one, right? George Lucas, like, he had these limitations in the original Star Wars films. And then he gets CG and it's limitless and suddenly it's, like, too much. You know, there's no one there. Or no physical obstacle to, like, reel them
or like
back.
Spielberg
I think
and
you
Jaws.
can see that specifically with Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That Tim Burton was there, but it was like his first major film. He was a director for hire. There was a specific aesthetic required for that movie. And he was limited, but he did manage to get some crazy shit in there. I think that's one of the most enjoyable of his movies.
Yeah.
Just him put in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he needs that. I think he needs somebody reeling him back. Definitely. Oh my god, I forgot he did Mars Attacks.
Oh, that was Tim Burton.
You should watch that one.
That makes sense.
I remember liking Mars Attacks.
I remember being the only one who liked Mars Attacks.
I've never seen it.
Everybody hating it.
Obviously, because aliens.
I only got to the point where Michael J. Fox died, and then I was too sad and distraught to continue watching because I was a child. Oh, sorry. Shit.
And it happens in the first, 1 minute.
It really does. I want to get back to, how... I mean, like I said before, I think the set design and the costumes in this film are just phenomenal. The attention to detail and, of course, Colleen Atwood did the costumes for this. Every time she does costumes, they're just amazing. Anytime you've seen a period piece and the costumes are good, it's probably her. She does an amazing job. And just, the fabrics and the colors.
Oh, yeah, the costumes look great.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's costumes.
I have never been able to keep my collar that straight with my head attached.
Uh-huh.
Like that.
Well, that's the interesting thing. The collar on the Headless Horseman, that's CG.
Okay.
Because the actor is wearing a green screen.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell like
over his head.
where the physical and the visual effects meet there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like you can see down into the shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It was interesting. I'm trying to remember who the stunt performer was, but
I looked it up and couldn't find it because I was convinced it had to be Ray Park, but IMDb did not have a credit, at least in the list of actors. So I guess we're to assume that Christopher Walken did all of those fighting scenes.
No, he definitely didn't. There was a stunt person.
But I
you
think
sure
it was a stunt
his-
person doing their best impression of Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
It definitely felt like Ray Park, like, Darth Maul, like it looked like the same sort of guy.
Oh, it is.
It's
It is. At the bottom, it says, there's a stunt category on IMDb. It says Ray Park, fight double, Headless
Whoa.
Horseman.
Oh,
Good.
okay,
Yeah.
so he's not listed as an actor.
also
No, yeah.
another
These days he would be, but
Oh, absolutely.
at that point, I
Yeah.
guess he's just stunt coordinator.
another tie-in to Star Wars. Rick Heinrichs. He was the production designer or art director.
Oh.
What about Ian McDiarmid? He was the Chancellor Palpatine is in this movie,
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
or
yeah.
Emperor Palpatine, or whatever.
yeah. They took a lot of people for this movie that it
Yeah.
was kind of surprising. Like I recognized almost every actor.
Yeah, I always remember the casting in this movie is pretty fun, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job. Everyone really fit, and like Miranda Richardson did a great job of playing that sort of like beautiful woman that has something like kind of off about her.
Yeah, I love her line too when they're like running into the windmill and she's like, "Oh, watch your head,"
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's great. Like so sneaky.
She has good lines.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I thought was interesting about the writing in this film is usually in a film, in screenwriting, another character will state the theme of the movie to the main character. But in this movie, the main character, Ichabod Crane, states the theme of the movie to Katrina when he says the truth is not always as it seems, when he's like twisting the little illusion thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of interesting.
So should we get some final thoughts on this thing?
I think Ash and I already gave our final thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I hit most of my final thoughts there. I don't think it was a bad movie. And it probably would have been a good movie, except I don't like the imagery anymore.
For me, it's not just about that imagery, although that's a factor. I just thought it was pretty boring. Like, it wasn't particularly interesting. And if you look at Edward Scissorhands and just the amount of just charm that drips off of that movie, the charm is missing in this one.
All right.
But yeah, it didn't really excite me.
Okay.
Sorry, Sam.
That's okay. You don't have to like it. But I wouldn't disagree that Edward Scissorhands is more charming, like in probably a better movie. But I don't think because Edward Scissorhands is better, it takes away from the enjoyment of this movie. For me.
Yeah.
I think it's a different style of film, too. Like, Edward Scissorhands, like, he has to be charming. Otherwise, he's a monster, you know? So, but in this, it's literally like a whodunit crime-solving thing. So, and a period piece.
More of a Christopher Axe Hands.
Christopher Sharp Teeth.
Oh, that was nasty.
He cuts hair with his teeth.
By the way, did anyone... I couldn't quite tell, but I joked at the beginning, but it really kind of looked like they just colored his like teeth in or had like a really weird tooth prosthetic.
Well, clearly, of course it was a tooth prosthetic.
Yeah,
like,
it's definitely a tooth
Like in
prosthetic.
between the whites, there was black. Like it wasn't sharp teeth. It was just like this solid block of something.
I think you were just watching on your low quality rip
Maybe.
that had bad
Hey, it was a
quality.
DVD rip.
I mean,
Yeah.
how else would you like that handled?
Yeah, that's a
Should
good
they have
point.
pulled his teeth from his skull so that they could have made a more convincing
Should
prosthetic?
he have?
What do you want,
Yeah.
Brad?
Should he have worn a green screen grill so that they could CG in the teeth?
God.
Oh man. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, there. I guess you can get a more convincing effect with lots of CG, but then you run the risk of that looking fake.
I mean, it's gonna look fake if there's like a real person with real lips over a CG teeth.
Yeah.
That can't look good in 1999.
No. I mean, they did accomplish a lot, though.
Yeah.
I think you were just seeing the gaps, Brett, because it's definitely teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's just like the gums and the prosthetic are just
Yeah.
fucking huge.
Like here's another picture. Like it looked like it was over.
No, like you see, even that
His
first
other
one you sent me,
teeth.
you look at his bottom teeth. The gums go all the way up to the top of the teeth.
It's because his real teeth are behind these weird fake teeth. You can see they like painted his real teeth black,
Yeah,
and that's what you're seeing.
that's what I thought I was
That's-
seeing.
Yeah, that's weird.
I mean, you have to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I'm just
Unless he
surprised.
files
I
his
never
actual
noticed
teeth
it.
down.
Well, I heard he did.
From
I
Brett.
believe it.
I know. I probably heard that from Brett.
Yeah.
I probably.
I mean, we're watching the movie, and I feel like you heard it from the movie because they say
right?
he filed his teeth down to look more scary.
Yeah.
Like that's
They
literally the thing they said in the movie,
I know.
which makes me think maybe nobody in the real world ever said this. They just echoed that line from the movie.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I still loved it. I thought it was really fun and enjoyable, and just a good time. I really love For me, I love the visual aesthetic of this film. I love that it feels like an oil painting that's like moving and come to life from that era. And I just love Christopher Walken as a bad guy.
Really? Boobs is what sold you? Just kidding.
I mean, there's some nice boobs in this movie. Let's be
There's
honest.
a lot of boobs. I was making fun of the scene when he was like his mom was spinning around and floating, and she has this silhouette with like boobs sticking off of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
You mean not Alanis Morissette?
oh my god, I said that too. I told Brett she looked like a cross between Alanis Morissette and an older Anna Kendrick.
Oh, interesting.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. But she totally did look like that.
Yeah, in the first shot, I had to look her up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. Or even Fiona Apple. She kinda
Oh
looks like
yeah.
too. So I tweeted, as always, a photo of, a still from the movie. And this one Twitter fan, Lupin Fan 83, told me that, did you know that there was a cartoon of this as well?
Wow.
What? Oh, Disney.
Yeah.
You mean? Or like a
What?
Disney?
Or there was a
I think so, yeah.
like a
Yeah.
Headless
I guess
Horseman
there was.
Saturday morning cartoon.
No, not like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah,
but
there was
Disney.
definitely a Disney movie.
Yeah.
The Adventures of
Oh, okay.
Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Oh no, like they did. No, they did
No.
Ichabod, and it's like the original story based on the book. And there's like a girl that wears a pink fluffy dress, and like Ichabod is the school teacher, like we talked about before. But if there's a series that went on TV, I didn't know about that one.
No, I think it's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's from like it's
Yeah.
early, from like the 40s or 50s, I think.
Oh, wow.
It's old.
Yeah, it's just interesting that, it seems like a lot of the Tim Burton-y stuff also was translated. I guess because he worked with Disney.
Yeah,
a lot.
well, he went to Cal Arts to be a 2D animator, and
Yes,
he
went to Disney school.
we went to Disney school. He did, and then he worked at Disney as an animator, 2D animator.
I'm just
that's right.
I'm just imagining Mickey walking in the room. Oh God! Oh God, Tim, what have you done?
I think I've told the story on the podcast before, but in the animation industry, kind of the famous Tim Burton story is that he had to get his wisdom teeth pulled.
Oh, yeah, you did say this
and he
before,
went into the office with, like, the day of his surgery, like, and pulled out the cotton balls and was just, like, walking around with blood dripping out of his mouth, scaring everyone in the office. So, I mean, that's honestly, I don't know what other type of movie you'd expect from the man that did that.
That's like,
You know what? I like his sense of humor. I'm just saying. Tim Burton and I think we're on the same wavelength with the
yeah,
one sense
yeah.
of
of
humor.
a practical joke, though, because the joke is, aha, you thought I was bleeding, not, aha, I am bleeding.
Yeah.
Bleeding, yeah.
Yep.
Didn't
I don't know. There's something hilarious about
didn't Ron Swanson do exactly the same thing?
it. Yeah,
Wait, really?
He did.
I
Well,
think so.
he had his surgery like days ago, and he faked pulling the tooth out with a pair of pliers.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is even worse.
Yeah.
It's so good. I just watched that episode too. And he's in the meeting. He's like, oh, my tooth hurts. And everyone like freaks out and Donna passes out.
It's good to develop a healthy amount of fear from your coworkers.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well, that is Sleepy Hollow.
If you like this show, it's part of Last Stash TV network of content. It's this podcast and a YouTube channel with a drinking show and video game parodies and a lot of other fun stuff.
Yeah. And just a reminder, because I think I only mentioned it once, but there is a whole behind-the-scenes series on Laugh Stash right now about our most recent project we're working on that Nick and I are working on. It's called, well, the behind-the-scenes series is called Zomcon Diaries, and it takes you through all the steps that we've taken to shoot this zombie piece called Infectious that is Nick's brainchild.
Woot woot.
So check that out. There's I think there's 5 episodes out now. I should really know that. It's my content. Whoops. But definitely check that out if you're interested in that. Yeah, 5 episodes, and then there's an episode, speaking of blood, there's an episode that's coming out this week all about the zombie makeup. So our makeup artist, did this awesome stuff where she made the skin in the microwave and, applied it, and it's so cool how she actually made the zombie
That's
makeup.
exciting.
So
Very cool.
this week there'll be an episode on that. But you can also follow us on Twitter. We're at LaughStashTV on Twitter. Or you can follow this podcast. We're at Let's Rewatch, where I do fun stuff. We'll do polls where you guys can choose the movie. Or today, I tweeted a still from the film. And S. Knoll was the first one who, and it's Snoll, I guess. There's lots of S's in that name. But they guessed it first. So congratulations on that. And also, Mitch tweeted that he was so excited that it was finally happening that we were watching.
Woot woot. Yay, Mitch. So, we're going a little off script here, but this week, Bret and I had the awesome pleasure of attending a screening of Mail Order Monster at the Portland Film Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with previous guest Paulina Lagudi. And it was awesome, guys. It was a really well acted, well written story, and we had a really great time watching it. And we're really excited for Paulina because it is being released on just about every streaming platform next week on November 6th.
Oh,
So
I was going to ask that, and then I realized you probably didn't know, and then I started searching for it, and then you did know.
I did, yeah.
So November 6th, it's going to be out everywhere.
Yep. She said on Amazon, on iTunes, Google Play. I think it's going to be on Stars as well. So you should definitely check it out and
They
follow.
got a good distribution deal.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow, cool.
It's really exciting for them. We're really happy. So
it's not going to theaters, though?
no, it's not going to, well, only through film festivals. So, and this was the end of their film tour. So, yeah, people can check it out on streaming.
Awesome.
And then if you like our podcast, please give us a positive review on iTunes or Google Play Music or Spotify.
Or just tell people about us.
Yeah, tell people about us.
Get on the
tell
socials.
your friends.
Share a link.
Mm-hmm.
As always, we have that Facebook group too, where Luna's super active and Mitch is super active, and it's just Let's Rewatch podcast. It's a closed group that you can join, and you can tell us how wrong you think we are or how right you think we are, and talk to other people who feel or don't feel the same way.
Yeah, and if any of those awesome people that Bret and I met at the Portland Film Festival tuned in for our podcast, join the Facebook group and let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, met a lot of cool people.
Right on. So make sure your podcast feeds are up to date and tell your friends, and check back in another 2 weeks for another episode of Let's Rewatch.
Next week, we're going to watch the positively true adventures of the alleged Texas cheerleader murdering mom.
That sounds so familiar.
Alleged? Like maybe she murdered people, but maybe not.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Perhaps. All right. The end. Right. The end. Right. The end. Right. The end. Right.